Well, then we come to verse 10. I think John 10 verse 10 is actually the central verse of the whole book. It comes right in the middle of the book. And it teaches the secret of the Jesus life. Now we all can quote, I have come that you may have life and have it to the full. And that's the central message of John. Jesus is good news. But it's only half the verse, and we must never quote half the verse. The verse begins, the thief breaks in to steal and kill and destroy. There are two forces always at work around us. The one is the thief, the other's the shepherd. The one steals and kills and destroys, the other brings life. And how we handle these two is key to how we handle the Christian life. There was a handsome young nobleman by the name of Ignatius living in the Italian town of Loyola. He led a pretty free and dissolute life, and then he became very badly wounded in battle and ended up lying in bed for months recuperating. And he became very bored, and so one of the things he did to pass the time is he began to daydream. One of his daydreams was of being a handsome young knight conquering kingdoms and women. And he enjoyed those daydreams, but he noticed afterwards that they left a bit of a sour taste in his mouth, and he came to call those desolation. And then he started to have daydreams about becoming a Christian and becoming a spiritual leader and finding a way to help others to follow Jesus. And he fantasized about beginning an order that would go around the world. He even had a name for it, the Jesus ones, the Jesuits. And he found when he'd finished those daydreams that it left a sweet taste in his mouth, and he came to call that consolation. Now out of that, he built a way of following Jesus that he called discerning the spirits. He acknowledged that there are two forces in the world. The one he called bad angels, the other he called good angels. And he developed a very simple test for discerning between good angels and bad angels. Simply ask the question, does this thing increase or decrease my faith and my love for Jesus? Bad angels can be anything. They can be people. You're with someone and you just feel at the end of it, my faith was actually decreased by being with that person. It can be activities, even activities that aren't wrong in themselves. I knew a young man who went to Bible college to train to be a missionary, and he was very good at table tennis. But he gave up his table tennis because he said it was getting in the way of what I was actually trying to do. And then perhaps the biggest of the bad angels are inside my head, thoughts that go around, sometimes very difficult to control. That's why Paul said, I take every thought captive, because there are some thoughts that when they're over, we stop and think, that has not increased my faith. It hasn't increased my love for Jesus. And then there are good angels. There are people who, when you're with them, you just come away saying, that's increased my faith. Or activities, that's increased my love for Jesus. And the secret of the Christian life is to move away from the one and towards the other. In Luke 13, Jesus told a parable.
A man had a fig tree, and he went to look for fruit on it, but did not find any. So he said to the man who took care of the vineyard, for 3 years now I've been coming to look for fruit on this fig tree and haven't found any. Cut it down. Sir, the man replied, leave it alone for 1 more year, and I'll dig around it and fertilize. If it bears fruit next year, fine. If not, then cut it down.
Now that parable is about Jesus wanting us to bear fruit, but notice how patient he is. But the gardener says he will do 2 things. First, he will dig around the tree, and secondly, he will fertilize it. Why does he need to dig around it? Well, because there's been no fence around that tree, and people and animals have been allowed to trample down the soil until it's so hard that the tree can't draw sustenance anymore. We cannot successfully lead the Christian life unless we have some barbed wire to keep the bad angels off the soil of our lives. And then he says, I will fertilize it. We've got to put things in. We've got to allow the good angels time in our lives. And so there are 2 forces at work in this world, the thief and the shepherd. The one steals and kills and destroys. The other brings life. We have constantly to move away from the one and towards the other. That's the road to abundant life.